So welcome back. So in Montessori education, sensory learning is very key component, right? As an educational approach developed by Dr. Montessori, we are working on the sensory education, which focuses more on the development and the refinement of the child senses. So how do we learn these exercises for the child's cognitive growth? How would we use these sensorial exercises for a child's overall sensorial development is what we see in our Montessori practical sensorial education. The first exercise in our visual sense, what Dr. Montessori talks about is to work on the sizes. We also work on the lens, right? So the first exercise of visual discrimination in our sensorial is related to our number rods. Please note down the first material we use is number rods. So in Montessori, these, not number rods, the red rods. The red rods, yeah, I'm very sorry. So the red rods are a very specific set of sensorial materials. Why we use that? Now, when you see in the picture itself, you saw a grading there. We had right from the very smallest one or the shortest one to the longest one, right? When I was able to see this picture on the header itself, I was able to develop a visual discrimination. I could see it better. And there was a coordination, like how the rods were growing in the length. So I could understand the relationship of the sizes much better. So in my Montessori class, when I have to be working on such a lesson, which is working on my visual discrimination of length, I would be using what material? Red rods. Okay. Without doubt, you have to say any time that you want to introduce length to your children, you have to use red rods. This is going to be preparing them to work on it. How do we do that? So what is that material all about? How many such rods is what they have is what we are going to be working on. So just to remember Montessori's words, she believed that our intellect and our knowledge of the world have their beginnings in our senses. As human beings, we all have sensorial absorbing knowledge about the world through seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, tasting what's around us. So through our senses, we collect necessary information and we stimulate that into our development and creativity. Okay. From there is where we move on to our exercise. Let's understand what is the purpose of using this material. The purpose is I want the child to see this. Second thing is like I want the child to touch that rod. Every time the child is holding and touching that rod, he gets that perception of the length. If I'm taking a small rod, I only touch this much. I say, oh, this is short. I don't say even the vocabulary. I just feel it. Okay, it's only this long or this is short. When I take a lengthier one, I can feel the perception of the length. So the only purpose is like they're seeing how long is it, and they're also able to feel and get that muscular perception of the length. What age can I give? Right from 2 to 6 years is what I can give. What is my child learning here? They're learning the dimensional differences of length. And they're also gaining the muscular memory. What do I say? Muscular memory. When they touch it itself, they know it is short or long. It comes through practice. Now let's understand a little bit more about the material. How many rods are there in this? We have 10 rods. What are their length? They are from 10 centimeter to 100 centimeter. That means my shortest one is 10 centimeter. The second one is 20. Third one is 30. So the longest one is my 100 centimeter. You have to remember the size and the dimensions of each of the materials. And the beauty of these materials is they are all SI unit standardized. So be it you're learning this in India or you go to any other country, red rods will be introduced the same way. So we also have to use large floor mats to work with our children. So how do we present this lesson to our child? The child picks up these rods randomly and they place it onto the mat. So every time that they're randomly placing these, we would also introduce a vocabulary to a child. Now, what do I introduce here? When they take two, first and the second one, they take, I say, oh, this is long, this is short. Then I take another rod, I start comparing. Something could be either short or it could be even longer. So if it is long than the long, I say it's longer, shorter. Then if it is very tinier one, I say this is shortest and this is longest. So we
Longest.
introduce the language. So if I have only two, I work on my positive reinforcement. Say on my positive degree, or I say grade from the point. I say this is long, this is short. When I start comparing and I have four of them, I start to compare. So this is my second degree. So I say this is comparative degree. I say this is long, short, longer, shorter. In my superlative, I have longest, longer, long, short, shorter, shortest. So this is one simple exercise that you would be introducing to your child. From there, you can have games. You can give them the games where the child will be able to grade from the point. When they say grade from the point, pick any two rods. Tell me, is it short or is it long? That's all. When they tell you grade from the midpoint, take four of them and start to grade them. Longer, long, short, shorter. If they say grade from extreme, pick six of them. And now you should be able to grade longest, longer, long, short, shorter, shortest. This is the game that you have to be working with, this simple exercise. These are the alternative ways where the child finds it very fun to arrange it and move on. Okay. From there, how do you work on the demonstration is something that we need to work on. Before we complete this, we always have to understand this apparatus is very good. The child is able to explore. You can't stop the teaching lens over here. You have to move and extend it to your other materials also. But how do I do it in my class? In my class, when I'm working on it, I have to be making sure that the child picks up all of them in the rightful way, right? So how do I work on that? Let me quickly share my screen. Here we go. Yes. So this is our red rods material. So first I have to unroll and roll a mat. Then I have to place my rods randomly. Let me be very delicate when I'm actually using them on my mat, one at a time. Then you placed all of that. Now comes my visual perception. I hold on to each rod. I feel whether it is long or whether it is short, and I put them randomly. Now comes my grading. So I take another mat at a little far off distance, and then I start arranging all of them. Each time I do that, I have to see and feel how long is that. So this is your visual perception wherein you are able to differentiate, oh, this is long. Oh, this is even more longer, right? Oh, this is even more longer than that. So you come to a conclusion, keeping each one of them, arranging each one of them. This becomes your first exercise wherein you are going to arrange all your number rods in sequence. Now, there is one preliminary point to note here. The shortest rod is always kept near the child. It's kept near the child, and the longest one goes away from the child. The shortest is always towards you, and the longest one is always away from the child. So you continue doing the same for the entire exercise. Once the child is done, you return back all the rods back to the shelf, not everything together, but one at a time. So which one goes first? The longest goes first. From there, you go for the shortest one. Why I'm telling you to settle back when you're writing your exam, all these points will be noted. The shortest being towards you and the longest being away from you. When you're keeping back the materials onto the shelf, the longest goes first. When the teacher does the same way, the child copies all your information and the child is also expected to complete the same activity in the same way. Okay, so this is your first visual sense exercise. That's called red rods. So what do we do with red rods? What is the first concept that we teach? We teach the length. What are the words that we use? Long and short. So I have to work with my material. How many rods I would have? 10 rods. What are their measurements? 10 centimeter to 100 centimeter. Shika, thoda baat karna hai. अपने आप से बात करो. Okay, only then you will be able to overcome the fear of talking. Okay, then coming back to the next thing, if I have my 10 rods, what do I start doing? I work on 3 degrees. What is my first degree? Positive degree. When I say positive degree, what am I teaching? Repeat after me. Long, short. That's my positive degree. How do you introduce to children? You will always say this long, this is short. Use a 3-period lesson. Can you show me where is short? The child has to point. Can you show me where is long? That is second period. When you ask, what is this? That's your third period. The child will answer you back saying, oh, this is the long rod map. Then you go to your second degree. In your second degree is where you ask the child or you bring more comparison. It's called a comparative degree. Start comparing. What is the vocabulary that we teach? Longer, longer, longer. G has 2 sounds. Don't be sorry. G has 2 sounds. A soft sound G and a hard sound J. Right? So we are using the soft sound G. So longer, longer, long, short. Sorry. Yeah, correct. Long and short, short. That's a second degree. The third degree, longest, longer, long, short, shorter, shortest. What is the purpose of doing this exercise? We know the purpose. The child to know the length. That's all. Is it visual discrimination? Yes. Now what do? I take my children outside the school and I ask them, can you show me what I could say? Yeah, what I could say, long, right? Who has a long hair in our class? Maybe I can have all the girls in our classes and we measure. And we measure. Literally, you have to take a measuring tape and you have to literally measure. And you can show them the number. See, you always have to have an extension to your class activities. Now the child knows, I can use a measuring tape. I can use a ruler to measure. Or you can ask the child to, lie down on the floor. When they stand, it becomes tall. When they lie down, it becomes long. You have to tell them how long are you. When they're standing, we say how tall are you. Same goes with your red rods also. When you put your red rod like this, you can say this is tall. When you're putting like this, you can say this is long. So here you can also use 2 vocabulary. You can either teach them long and short, or you can also teach them tall and short. So when you're having tall and short, arrange everything. So that is where you will use your red rod stand. Okay. So how does the red rod stand comes like? In case if I have to open my Google, so I will show you red rod stand will come. So you have to arrange everything onto the stand like this. Okay. Let me share that. Give me a moment. So you get a stand like this. Okay. So you will arrange all your red rods onto the stand. Then you are teaching them tall and short. If everything is being lying on the table and you're keeping it, you are teaching them long and short. This is one thing that we can actually introduce. First material. The second material that we would now begin in a visual sense is related to my sizes. Okay. So for my sizes, what do I use? I use a material called my pink tower. Okay. So pink tower is what we did in our previous class also. We all know that, right? So we used a pink tower lesson, correct? So what did we do here in our pink tower? We use a mat first, and then we always use some cubes to work on. Now my pink tower would have such cubes. It will have 10 cubes. I have to take up those cubes randomly and place it. Now when I place all of that, the first visual sense is like, I can see they are all pink in color. I can also talk about
there is
what...
no picture, ma'am.
Huh?
No picture.
No picture?
Pink tower.
Now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I rolled out a mat. Then I'm taking out the cubes and I'm putting each one of them randomly. Now, what is the child doing? The child is visually seeing what are we keeping it. And then I can randomly pick one and I can say this is big and this is small. Then I start building my tower with it. I arrange everything. I go visually. Then I start building my tower with this. I'm not going with the extension lessons and error of control. But here we are expected for a child to understand and construct a tower. The same way, what we can always do is like, I can pick randomly any two and I can say, this is big, this is small, this is bigger, this is smaller, this is biggest, and this is smallest. So we constructed a tower with the 10 cubes. So this is again my visual sense exercise, wherein I am encouraging the child to build a tower. Once the child builds a tower, we ask the child to go around and take a look. Now, this is what in the Saturday's class we did. Did you all know that there are two ways of constructing a tower? When I'm constructing this, wherein I'm keeping everything straight, I get that 1 centimeter differences. So you take the tiniest portion of the cube and you start measuring. You start keeping over there. So you will be able to identify how each cube increases by 1 centimeter in width, 1 centimeter in length, 1 centimeter in height, right? So that's the reason it's a cube, because it varies in 3 dimensions, width, length, and height. So that we can actually work on this. So those we did it very much in detail about knowing it. So this is how you work on your error of control. So you put everything back and you take up your tiniest cube from there, from the top, and you start checking onto how they differ in 1 centimeter. So I have to take the tiniest portion of it and I start keeping. So now you would be able to identify that there is a 1 centimeter gap, right? So this is your pink tower. So I built a tower. What's my next step? I dismantle the tower. So I take out everything and I put it back. So this is again one of my visual sense exercises that I have to be working and giving it for my children. Now, coming to the next particular learning, what I could always teach to children, apart from this, is related to my brown stairs. Now, brown stairs is one such exercise. Yes? Okay. Brown stairs is the next one that we actually go with. So, when you want to introduce thickness, when you want to introduce thickness to your child, you would always use the material called brown stairs. Why it is called brown stairs? Brown in color. Look at the staircase formation. So maybe it's called as a brown stair because of that, right? So this is one of the exercise that I can go with. Moving to my learning, why do I have to use my brown stairs? Whenever I want to introduce the thickness, I use this material. I can say this is thick, this is thin, this is thicker, this is thinner, this is the thickest, and this is the thinnest. So look at the material there. Each one of them are of different thickness, but look at the length. Length is all the same. The child is now able to only discriminate one dimension, that is my thickness, right? So I would have 10 such prisms of the same length. They all have the same length of 20 centimeter. But look at their heights. Heights are differing. Look at the thickness. So they are differing right from 10 centimeter to 1 centimeter. The first one had 10 into 10 into 20. The second one will have what? 9 into 9 into 20. The third one is 8 into 8 into 20, right? So the length was common, 20. But the height was differing, the thickness was differing. The width was also differing. So that's how they vary. So I can use a mat which is of a coloring contrast and I ask a child to build a brown stair. Once they have built, they have to keep the palm and they have to see for the error of control. Can they experience that stair formation? If they're able to do that, that's amazing. Let them also talk about the weight. If it is too heavy, somebody can actually help them. If it is not that heavy, the child will be able to work independently. So what do we do here in our sensorial rack? You keep your brown stairs. You cannot carry all those together. So I would encourage my child to go to that location. I show them where my brown stairs is kept. I give them a tray. The child picks 1 or 2 stairs only, comes back to the mat, keeps back them, again goes back near the shelf, transfers some more, comes back and puts it. That means randomly I am picking the stairs from that. Then I'm keeping it on my mat. Now I would start to arrange all my prisms slowly, steadily. Every time that I'm arranging, I compare to the previous prism, where it ends, where I have to build, how do I build it. So slowly, once the stair is all built, I will start to admire. Why should I say admire? You should see, you should stand up, see how it looks from the top. This is the beauty of Montessori education. Once the child builds that, it could be the stacking tower or the brown stairs, you have to encourage them to stand, look down, let them see from top how it looks. They can come in front, let them bend down and see how it is. Let them admire what they have built from all the angles. Okay, and let them gently run their hand along the top of the stair from the top to the bottom. Okay, so this helps them. Okay, I have constructed my stairs in a wonderful way. How nice this is and how beautiful it is, and they enjoy doing these exercises. And what is the language that we would be introducing? Thick, thin as a positive degree, as comparative, thicker, thick, thin, thinner, as superlative, thickest, thicker, thick, thin, thinner, thinnest. Okay, so you can also make label cards. If you're introducing t sound to our children, this is going to be a wonderful exercise also. You can teach spellings. What makes thick and ick? Again, th makes two sounds. It makes thus and it makes th. So when it is th, it is an unvoiced sound. So if there is a language teacher who is doing this lesson, you can also reinforce. It is the unvoiced sound that you're actually using it. And thin, it's th and in makes thin. Teach them to write the spellings also. They have to know to syllabicate. It's not only in the English language. Any lessons, you can always reinforce what you have taught them in your phonetic sounds or phonetic classes also. Now I have learned two materials. Now I can ask the children to work with both of them. I tell them, children, you grade from extreme. What do you mean by grade from extreme? Extreme, all six.
Superlative degree.
Superlative degree. Grade from midpoint?
Comparative.
Comparative. Grade from point?
Positive.
Positive degree.
Positive. Yes.
Positive degree.
Both, I've taught them two materials. Now take a look here. Look at them.
Okay.
The base has
Yes.
got the same width.
Yeah.
Right? So again, it's falling under my visual sense. The child is able to now look into that curiosity aspect. We are not only encouraging them to work on this, but the child knows the thickness of that and the size of the pink tower is going to be the same. Look at this. I can also make sure that the child is able to work this way. Some kind of an exercise. All three materials are used. So all three I could reinforce. The child is now learning. So what I do here, I'm still talking about my dimensions. I can say 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter cube. So I can say 10 centimeter length. Look at 20 centimeter length, but 1 centimeter thickness. I'm reinforcing my conceptuals over and again. This is what Dr. Montessori also says, provide apparatus. Give them, let them explore how they want to do it. Some children can arrange it like this. Some children can arrange like this. Some children can arrange it like this. That's okay. What is your responsibility? You go there and you ask them, did you see this is 1 centimeter? Did you see that's 10 centimeter cube? So the thickness is so much. When you had that, oh, look at the gap is very less here because of the thickness, maybe because of the dimension. The cube size is smaller, so maybe the gap size is also smaller. So you are giving them that extra information. So you as a teacher become the facilitator over here. This is what Dr. Montessori said. Guide them as they explore the world. Give them opportunities so that, they would be able to do more and more. This is considered to be a very important education for our children, what we do. Okay. So that is our material for today. And that was our sensorial exercise of our brown stairs. Let me quickly move on to our other material. So we do have something called as, what I could say, give me a moment. Let me see what's the next one that I can take it up for today now. After this, can we go with Color tablets? Yes. So since we're also working on our visual sense, you could see so many colors around you, correct? So one such thing is about the color tablet. So we used to explore color tablets over here, and we see different things around us. Everything has a color. And we use this box. This is our grading box. Okay, so this is box 3. Much before this, we have box 1 and box 2. But in the third box, what we do here is like, we ask children to differentiate and orient themselves to the world of colors. Now, if you see, everything has different grades, different colors. If I have yellow there, I have 2 shades of yellow. I have pink, 2 shades of pink. Green, 3 shades of green. Purple, 3 shades of purple. So that means this material is purely given to a child to orient the gradations of colors. Okay, let me give you a brief description about this. So I have 3 boxes in colors. My box 1 is a basic one, which has only primary colors, red, blue, and yellow. Red, blue, yellow is my primary color. My box 2 is my secondary color, which will have red, blue, yellow, and it will have my 3 secondary colors. How do I get my secondary colors? Red and blue gives me green. Red and yellow gives me orange. Then
Blue
blue and
grey.
blue and
Grey.
not gray, primary colors. What are the primary
Blue and
colors?
pink.
No, what are the primary colors?
Blue and red. Blue and red. Purple.
Blue and red.
See, red, blue,
Yellow.
yellow,
Yellow,
blue.
yellow.
red, blue, yellow
Red,
is your
blue,
primary
yellow.
color, right? So
Blue
when I
and
mix
yellow.
my red
Blue
and
and
blue, I get what? Red, blue gives me purple.
Violet. Purple.
Yes.
Purple.
Then when I mix my red and yellow, I get my
Orange. Green.
orange. Okay, now my blue and yellow gives my green.
Green.
Okay, so my primary colors are red, blue, and yellow. My secondary colors are my purple, orange, and green.
Orange. Green.
Okay, so I got 6 colors now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now in my box, this is, I'm
White
talking
and
about my
black.
box 2. Okay, so now I would
White and
add
black.
a color black and color white.
And white.
So I got 8 colors now. Now to this
Yes.
black, I'm adding red, my primary color. So what do I get?
Grey.
Write down,
Pink.
write down. Okay, see, I'm writing it down. So I'm writing down what colors I get. So you can also write. Okay. So when I take my black and red, when I mix it together, I get my brown.
Brown.
I get my brown color. Correct? Now take my white and add my red. What is the color I get?
Pink. Pink.
Pink. Now how many colors altogether you got?
Red,
Four.
blue.
8,
Four.
9, 10.
Red and
10 colors you got.
red and blue.
10 colors you got. Now,
Purple.
now to the black, you add white. What do you get?
Gray color.
Gray color.
Gray color. So
Gray.
so your box 2 will have 11 colors. Okay, now is it easy to remember? So your box 2 is a material which will have 11 colors, 3 primary, 3 secondary, 2 universal colors, black and white. And when you're mixing black and white, you get your gray. When you mix your black and red, you get your brown. When you mix your white and black, you get, when you mix your red and white, you get your pink. So you will have your pink, gray, brown, black, white. These are 5 and those are 6. Your box 2 is 11 pairs of colors. Okay. Now this is your box 3. I'm not doing box 1 and box 2 because it's simple. So in box 3, you will have grading colors. How many sets? How many colors are there? If you can see the picture, you'll be able to give me. 9 colors we have. Each of those 9 colors, how many tablets are there?
7 grades.
7 grades are there. 7 grades are there. Now say suppose if I take up any one color, I start to compare when I start grading. So when I start comparing, what am I getting? I'm able to see the darkest color to the lightest color of the same color. I say dark yellow, darker yellow, lighter yellow, darkest yellow, lightest yellow. The vocabulary is very important for me. So every time when I present it to a child, I have to take up all of that. Now if you see in this picture, it's all randomly placed. but they all belong to one family: purple family, green, blue, yellow, pink, orange, red, brown, and black family. Correct? So what happens now is you have to take up that responsibility in making sure that the child is able to grade them right from the lightest to the darkest. So this is my box one, has only three primary colors: blue, red, and yellow. So what I have to do, I have to pick the other colors from the box, match it: blue to blue, red to red, yellow to yellow. My box 2 will have 11 colors: 2 grey, 2 brown, 2 purple, 2 red, orange, 2 green, 2 white, 2 blue, 2 black, 2 pink, and 2 yellow. So I have to also do the same thing. I have to teach children, when you mix colors, you get new colors. When you add more color to something, it can become darker, right? So you have to teach the children how you got that shade of color. So paint and art classes will definitely help you to work on this. So when I'm using my box 3, I can make this spectrum kind of a pattern like a sun outburst, and I can place all my color tablets right from darkest to the lightest, or from lightest to the darkest, covering from the center. Okay, starting from the center. When children are able to do this, the next extension activity, what I do in my classroom is, I ask them get some objects from our classes and we will see where it belongs to, which color it belongs to. Say, suppose if I'm teaching about birds in my class, I can still use the same conceptuals. I have to arrange all the colors and I have to match to which color palette it actually matches to. Now, what if I ask the children to bring only these objects? I would still be able to differentiate. See, shades of green, we still have it. We are able to match the tablets to any of the items which is present in our classes. So you have to literally give a child a tray. They have to go and they have to collect objects and come. Not necessarily so many colors together. Maybe if a teacher is using only red color today, bring all the red objects. Tomorrow the teacher is using yellow. She introduces yellow. Bring all the yellow objects. Day after you do a revision, red and yellow, bring it together. Now you give them sorting exercise. So colors are little difficult for a child to understand. The more you reinforce at the earlier, it becomes easy. Now when you introduce this, you need to go on the vocabulary. Say, suppose if I'm going with blue color, I say blue scissors, blue rectangle, blue spear, right? Brown pyramid, brown heart, brown bell. So I have to be very, very good in introducing the names of those objects also. Say if you have any cardstock material and you have those pegs of the same color, children should be able to work on that. Now see if you're still working on your insects and it is butterfly and you had shades of butterfly, you can also use it in your art classes. Children, one of you color the shade of green and black. One of you do a color of light blue and dark blue. One of you do with a yellow and a brown combination. Always plan up your lessons in such a way that these would be included in your activities. And now when you're writing a report, you can always say to your parent that we were working on our insects conceptual. We sang a butterfly song. Children used their hands to flutter their wings. And we learned about the following colors. We also learned how to work on grading from the lightest stroke to the darkest stroke. You can also help them to master the stroke. What stroke you used. If you see in our art lesson, we had many strokes, right? Scumbling. Then what else we had? Graffiti strokes, scumble strokes, straight strokes, multiple strokes that you can actually involve in making your art lesson. So you can reinforce those exercises and you can work on your vocabulary also on the same thing. So if you're using in your language class, you're teaching them a word, tell GR is a initial consonant blend. Double E is a long vowel sound. And N makes the sound N. So it's like gr, E, N, green. Teach them the spelling. So green button. Again, for button, you teach them the spelling. B-U-T-T-O-N. Double T. Why did we double there? So how do you work? So it's got a same singular sound, but it's a double consonant. But when you're syllabicating, breaking rule you have to give them. So you have to break after your first consonant in the shortest, what do you call, the shortest syllable, you have to do that. But your consonant should be right after your short vowel. So you can have those syllabication rules when you're giving them bigger words for the spelling rules. So you can also talk about that. So this is how you have to work with your lessons, and a very structured way of doing each of your lessons. And when you do your, I think all of you have your books. Who was doing diploma with me? So Revati and all of you, you have to start writing your assignments and submit it. Okay, at the earliest. Go a detailed way of writing your presentations. The same recordings you can use, make up your own notes, Google, get some pictures of those materials, stick to it, and you can actually start learning. Okay, so this is our today's exercise. To quickly brief you all about whatever we did, we started with our introduction to sensorial. We also learned about in Montessori how many senses activities are there. So we have our 9 senses starting from visual, then chromic, baric, thermic, tactile, olfactory, gustatory, auditory, stereognostic, right? The 9 senses is what we actually work on. And earlier in the first part of the learning, we did about if you don't have Montessori materials and if you're homeschooling your child, what are the exercises that you can do. The second part of the exercise, what we did is, in case if you're a Montessorian, you're a Montessori teacher, or you're privileged to work with those materials, you would also bring in those materials to include in your lessons. Don't stop over there. Always after introducing the material, go back to nature, find some objects from there, link it. So that's going to be your learning. Okay. So thank you very much for joining me in today's session. I had a great time being with all of you. If you have any queries, I have just 1 minute, so you can quickly ask me. I believe everybody is good to go. Okay, so quickly we go back to our today's attendance count. On a count of 10, 9, I would want all of you to on your video. Okay, so I know few of them are on audio and the videos are not on. That's absolutely okay. So on a count of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much for joining in today's session. I had loads of enjoyment in learning sensorial education with all of you. Have a wonderful evening. Loads of love. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you, guys. See you all tomorrow.
Thank you, ma'am.
And we'll continue
Thank
with
you.
the other exercises. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Bye.